Blade Runner is a 1982 American science fiction film by Ridley Scott that follows Rick Deckard, a retired Blade Runner, asked to terminate four replicants named Roy, Zora, Leon, and Pris, who escape their off-world colonies to seek their creator in hopes of extending their lifespans. At the same time, Deckard falls in love with another replicant named Rachel. Solaris is a 1972 science fiction Russian film by Andrei Tarkovsky that tracks a psychologist named Chris Kelvin, who's sent to a space station above the planet named Solaris to investigate why Earth has lost communication with the scientists on board, Dr. Snell and Dr. Sartorius. The planet brings out memories of people, and for Kelvin, it brings out the memory of Hari, his ex-wife who committed suicide using toxic lab specimens that he left behind after leaving her. The main question in both films is, what does it mean to be human? And they answer that question by using typical sci-fi conventions like a futuristic setting, the discussion of technology's dangers, and non-human characters. Contextually, all of these conventions provided commentary on how each country viewed the future of the world and humanity during the Cold War. A common convention of the science fiction genre is setting the story in a futuristic world. Blade Runner is set in a dystopic depiction of 2019 Los Angeles. The setting of Solaris is never stated, but it's clearly set in the future with how the city looks and the use of space travel. For Blade Runner, the setting of Los Angeles is depicted as a hellscape that was built off of slave labor from the replicants, but the city still manages to be diverse. People from all parts of the world are gathered together, and the city's street language is a mixture of many different tongues.
4. No, 4. 2, 4. And noodles.
Creating a dystopian city that includes different cultures and people wrapped inside of it shows that no matter how bad corporations, government, technology, or even the world gets, we're all still humans trying to live our lives. The smaller settings of Blade Runner, such as Deckard's apartment, also add to this characterization. His walls are outfitted with square blocks that all have the same pattern. His walls look like programmed strands of code, and while this could be interpreted as a metaphor for Deckard being a replicant, it might also be showing that oftentimes humans find themselves stuck in loops, as if they were programmed. In this imagery, Scott may be commenting on the U.S. government's actions of repeatedly engaging in foreign affairs and competition during the Cold War, like the Bay of Pigs invasion, the Vietnam War, the space race, and the nuclear arms race, just to name a few. For Solaris, most of the movie takes place in the space station, but the setting of the station itself is a wasteland throughout the movie, and most of the technology is dysfunctional, as is evident when Kelvin first enters the station. While this serves as a metaphor for the emotional states of Kelvin, Dr. Snell, and Dr. Sartorius, since their lives are also dysfunctioning, it could also be a metaphor for the Russian government. The common citizens of Russia rarely saw the government officials that were making their country a mess during the Cold War, and because of that, they were forced to deal with the mess themselves, just like Kelvin was. Technology is usually where the science in science fiction comes from, and in Blade Runner, replicants Roy and Pris go to visit J.F. Sebastian, the genetic designer for the Nexus 6 replicants, at his apartment. Sebastian had a disease that accelerated his aging, so he related to the replicants with their limited lifespans. However, his love and relatability to technology ended up being his downfall, because he let his love become blinding, and he couldn't recognize Roy and Pris's manipulation of him to get to their creator as a result of that.
Will you help us?
I can't.
We need you, Sebastian. You're our best and only friend.
We're so happy you found us.
I don't think there's another human being in the whole world who would have helped us.
This showcases the dangers of technology in the form of artificial intelligence being able to roam unchecked, but it also touches on how easily humans can be manipulated. Solaris touches on this too when Kelvin uses a rocket to eliminate his first memory of Hari from the station. Kelvin didn't have a love for the rocket like Sebastian had for the replicants, but he did love Hari as she loved him. Hari was willing to blindly trust in someone she loved, just like Sebastian. It's an interesting juxtaposition between the characters since Sebastian is manipulated by the replicants, whereas Kelvin manipulates Hari. In both cases, the manipulation come at the hands of technology. This dynamic touches on the duality of man and contrasts how susceptible humans are to manipulation with how easy it is to manipulate others at the hands of technology. This contrast seems to mirror the cultures of the United States and Russia, since both governments attempted to manipulate their citizens into having certain thoughts about the other by professing the dangers each country could cause with their development of technology. Another convention of sci-fi is the use of non-human characters. These characters usually appear in the form of aliens, but in both Blade Runner and Solaris, the non-human characters look exactly like actual humans. Specifically, Roy, Rachel, and Pris all lust for a connection with someone, and Deckard, an actual human, lusts for that same thing. Hari lusts for that as well when she's brought back, just like the actual humans aboard the station. This shared desire between the non-human and human characters in Blade Runner and Solaris speaks to how both directors use their films to present the idea that no matter what, we're all humans and we're all more alike than we think, and they both use non-human characters to get that idea across. To go deeper, in Blade Runner, the memories that the replicants have are all fabricated to make them feel like they're human. Nothing they remember or dream of is real, and Roy and Leon eventually come across the eyeball manufacturer for replicants. One purpose of eyes are to act as a metaphor for somebody always watching you, a fitting metaphor for the paranoia surrounding spies and infiltration during the Cold War and its aftermath. But the other purpose is to make the audience consider the importance of eyes. What we see with our eyes inform our dreams and later informs our memories. Both dreams and memories are fabricated rather than experienced for the replicants, and this becomes especially clear when Roy dies on the rooftop of Sebastian's apartment. As he dies, he speaks about his life.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain.
He realizes that he's the only one to have the memories he does, and once he's gone, so are those memories. He's acknowledging that he feels like he saw these events happen with his eyes, and these fabricated aspects of Roy, his dreams, eyes, and memories, all helped him feel like an actual human. On top of that, he had a romantic relationship, he had friends, and he had people he hated. Love, friendship, and hate, which are all life-enriching and character-building experiences of humans. While Hari really only experienced a romantic relationship during her time in Solaris, the love she had for Kelvin was grand. The water on Solaris allowed imagination to become reality, and Kelvin, Sal, and Sartorius all fell in love with the fact that their thoughts and memories could be presented right in front of them. It didn't matter to Kelvin whether or not Hari was real, because to him, she felt real. She could feel pain and emotions just like a human, and that was enough for Kelvin because he was still experiencing her presence and her love, and it was helping him remember memories of the actual time they spent together on Earth. While Hari might never have experienced friendship and hate like Roy did, they both experienced love, which is arguably the most important human experience, and Scott and Tarkovsky both use their non-human characters in this fashion to drive home the main question of, what does it mean to be human? They also answer it here with the message of humans needing to hold our imagination close and the memories of the love we've experienced, the friends we've made, and the hate we've shared even closer, because all help define us and our legacy. All in all, both Solaris and Blade Runner are masterpieces that use the common sci-fi conventions of a futuristic setting, the dangers of technology, and non-human characters to discuss what it means to be human in a time of suspicion and fear, when remembering that we all share in the human experience was easily forgotten. Andrei, Tarkovsky, and Ridley Scott used their films to present these similar ideals and desires of humanity across different political contexts, an achievement that should be recognized and applauded for reminding each society that at the end of the day, despite our differences, that which unites us, our humanity, is much more significant than anything else.